Defending a fort that's in a remote location with very little territory is no easy task, especially when you're defending against the likes of Baba TC Ataturk, who started this KVK over 1 billion power, and Goodfather, especially when they're both swarming. So stick around to watch me desperately try to fill this fort and swap the captain, and before I jump into the footage and reports, allow me to tell you about the sponsor of this video, a game where there are no captains. Every army fights at its own strength, even when you're attacking a structure. This is my city in War and Order, who is the sponsor of today's video. And if I go out to the map and I show you an objective here, unlike in Rise of Kingdoms, where your army will be elevated to the strength of the captain, or reduced down to the strength of the captain, of a rally or a garrison, in War and Order, every single army that reinforces a flag or fort or significant structure fights at its own strength. So there are no captains in the same way that you're used to in Rise of Kingdoms, which is definitely a refreshing experience. Your army punches at its own strength. This means that every single player needs to be looking at min-maxing their equipment and their artifacts and all of the other things that give you strength in the game. In fact, in War and Order, the capacity of a flag is actually elastic. It changes based on the rally center of the highest rally center player that's actually reinforcing it. So this is my Hall of War, the equivalent of the Castle in Rise of Kingdoms, and this increases the capacity that my army can bestow into a flag or garrison. So although there isn't actually a garrison captain, you actually can enhance a flag or a rally by virtue of enabling more troops to be able to participate. I'm on my 3rd month of War and Order. I'm still really enjoying this game. I'm in Realm 1492. You can use the link in the description to download the game, which supports the channel, 100% free to play. And if you join us in Realm 1492, you can play with the Smash Squad, where we have the rank 1 alliance by power, as well as the rank 4 alliance by power, in addition, of course, to a bunch of academies. Thank you again to War and Order for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you in Realm 1492. Link is in the description to download. I was able to capture a little bit of footage from one of the really intense swarms. I drop over 5 million power in this one, like, 2-minute battle, which is kind of insane. So you've got a rally against my garrison. So I've got Zeno with Flavius in here. And normally when I'm recording something like this, I like to just be watching the fighting so you can see kind of what's happening. But I am trying to hard fill the garrison. That means dropping 430,000 troops at a time or more per march, with every march I possibly can, into the garrison to try to keep it topped off, or really like as full as possible, while other people try to join as well. But this is a fort built in a remote location where nobody else can get to it except the people that are on the footprint of this fort. There's nothing else nearby. So we are in a pretty dire situation. We need everybody to be online that's on territory. And quite frankly, that's definitely not the case at this exact moment in time. We probably have, I would say, between 6 to 8 people actually reinforcing at this moment. And the thing that wrecks us is what you're seeing right here, where I had to be the one to swap the captain. We didn't have any other R4s online at that moment, and this ends up really killing the garrison. And at some point, I'm like, yeah, I have like less than 500,000 infantry left. I can't reinforce this garrison repeatedly. It's GG. And I could have kept going a little bit, I think. I mean, like, every time a march would come back, I would, you know, have this slightly wounded come back and then be able to fight. But nah, man, we got wrecked. Or did we? It's kind of funny watching the replay, because it felt at the moment like it was really intense and really fast and really urgent. And it did happen really, really quickly. But watching me play it back feels like I'm playing in slow motion. Like, I'm like, click faster, fill faster. I don't know. At the time, it felt really, really fast. Looking back, it feels like I was playing really slowly. Here's one solo rally on the fort. And you can see why they ultimately had to swarm. Because at 424,000 dead for me and 720,000 dead for them, the pace of the battle is not fast enough for them to do meaningful amounts of damage. They had to switch it up and actually swarm the heck out of it, which is what they did. Now, this is the report that you were just watching the video footage of, where I was hard filling 430 at a time. And in an ideal world, I would have achieved a state of, I don't know, a sort of sustainable pace where I could retreat my lowest health marches from the fort and then fill back in again. And I was pretty comfortable to just keep doing that if we could sort of sustain and keep it full, which we could not. And that really happened the moment that I needed to switch the captain and I wasn't hard filling. That's when we got kind of wrecked. And so if we were doing this again, by the way, I think we would make sure that like R5 gets transferred to probably just like me, the person who's captaining, so that I can make sure that I've got R4s all available. And like literally the other R4 that was on like went for a coffee break right when they then launched a rally. Like they went for a coffee break, boom, the enemy launched a rally, and it was like, oh God, okay, I have to do this captain swap myself, GG. However, at 742,000 dead for me and 589,000 dead for them, this might seem like a pretty bad report battling against a Gilga Nebu. But if we look a bit further, we see that things really pick up. 77,000 dead for me and 199,000 dead for, actually, Baba. 99,000 dead for me, 215,000 dead for Baba. 86,000 dead for me, 128,000 dead for Baba. Then 86,000 dead for me, 71,000 dead for Baba. 61,000 dead for me, 101 for Baba. 80 for me, 217 for Baba TC Ataturk. 17k to 46k for Goodfather. Then 28 to 70. 50 to 50, about even. I'm telling you, man, XY Nevs just always does the work, man, does the work. And here I think the garrison's starting to die off. 12 to 32 against Goodfather. 31 to 100,000. This is pretty savage. 63 to 147. 4,000 to 12,000. 42 to 88,000. So you can see this report is still heavily in our favor here. 25 to 50. 23 to 73, 12 to 24, 8 to 20, 5 to 6, 5 to 2, and I think this is basically the end of the garrison at this point, just about. And, you know, I could have filled with other troop types, right? Like, I could have maybe considered switching to, like, a Xeno YSS and filled with other troop types, but I'll just be honest, in the moment, like, I was just like, oh, it has to be infantry, it has to be infantry. I wasn't thinking about like what garrison I should swap to. In hindsight, although this is just a wicked garrison with the Xeno Flav, I should have switched to Xeno YSS, and then I could have been hard filling with multiple troop types, and I would have been probably a little more comfortable just like still going and trying to save the garrison, which like, again, easy to say in hindsight, but also, you know, when you watch your power drop by like 6 million or whatever that number was in under 2 minutes, it's like, happening really, really fast, okay? If we look at another report, this is one where we're garrisoning that same fort. It's a Jad YSS, King of Armenia, iconic cav gear, full crit, is running this garrison. And that is a strong garrison. And I feel like Jad YSS is just a truly wicked garrison. It's very strong. And when new archers come into the game, Henry and Boudica in the next day or so, I mean, I feel like this garrison is only going to be even better in terms of how strong it is relative to your choices. But here is a swarmed fort. We're looking at 964k dead for the garrison, 880k dead for the XY Nevsky rally. XY Nevsky does work, man. That is always the rally you want to use if you can just free rally and they're not going to do anything, unless maybe you're up against a Xeno Flav. And then this is a pretty dangerous rally to use. You can get silenced and get pretty wrecked. But the swarm is really where the magic happens in this one as well. And the AoE from the YSS, also magical. I mean, so far, the AoE's pulled down like 100k kills. There's 11k to 194. Dude, Trajan Herald gets obliterated. You do not want to use a Herald secondary to swarm this garrison. It's not enough damage. And the Trajan and the Herald make themselves just so weak. Right? Like Trajan makes himself take more damage and Herald removes your defense. It's just a disaster swarm march. Trust me, I've swarmed with it. I would know. 60k from AoE, 25k from AoE, 17, 67, 54, all from AoE. 31 to 63 against Goodfather. 31 to 64 against Goodfather. Again, Guan Alex. Okay. 33 to 96 against the Amanatory Artemisia from Goodfather. 26 to 56 against the Skippy CJ, all from Goodfather here. 28 to 60 against the archers from Goodfather. That's Gilga Neb. This is both me and Koa trying to fill this garrison very quickly. as well as obviously the people that are on the footprint of the fort. But like he and I are positioned right next to it. So because there's two of us doing this, it's a lot easier when you have two people at that level of power, because both of us are trying to now top off the garrison rather than hard fill. Do you see the distinction? Right? Like we can keep this thing as close as possible to the 3 mil. I'll show you that at the top of the report. Whereas when, you know, you're like hard filling, you're actually kind of trying to get the like full 430 in there. Anyways, 15K, 15K, 21K, 17K, all AoE, 22K, 14K, 13K, 31K, all AoE, 64 to 113 from a swarmer, 36 to 75 in the swarm, 40 to 160, 26 to 65. Here's 15 to 52, 34 to 104, 9. Now we're at AoE again, 9K AoE. And bye-byes, man. Oh, gosh, poor dude. 6K to 67K. Deads here is really rough with Salad and William. 2K to 35K. I mean, this is like, must have accidentally swarmed and then realized, wait a minute, that's not what I want to be doing. 15K dead. 6K to 148K with the Charles Skippy swarm. It must have been hit by AoE too. I don't know how you'd get so many deads so fast and inflict so few, unless you kind of got popped by some AoE on your way out, maybe. And then 7K to 101. That's rough. I don't know, man. These forts and forts in general are really difficult to swarm. And if they are filling properly, and I'll show you at the top of the report here just how full this is. Yeah, you can see that this line stays pretty close to the top. I mean, there are some moments where it dips. This is true. But it never really drops below 2 million. And swarming into 2 million or more troops is very, very difficult with an iconic captain like you had here. And if I show you those troop buffs, right? Like Koa's stats are pretty sick. He has 208% cav attack, 172 defense, 125 health. And he's got all those stats that YSS is giving to all the other troop types, right? And he's got the iconic gear as well to really slay. And it looks like one of the pieces he has here is not crit. So maybe not a full crit iconic, but very close. And then Goodfather is actually full crit iconic. He's gone the health route, which I think is reasonable for cavalry because cavalry have so many ways to enhance health. So I feel like that is a more logical choice and a little bit of cav defense with his iconics here. The cav stats on the XY Nevsky should be higher than the Jad YSS, and we're looking at cav attack of 251.5, 176 defense, and 133% health, which is just really impressive. And for those of you that wanted to see the stats when I was garrisoning with the Xeno Flav, let me show that to you as well. We'll go over to the troop buffs. I've got 218.5 infantry attack, 191 defense, 95 health. Keep in mind that I am in pub, and this is not an alliance that has like all of the sort of holy sites in the home kingdom. So that definitely is an impact. I don't think I had a kingdom title as well. I might not have even had a rune at this point with like no way to get a rune either. Other than I think we probably should have had someone taxi if I did in fact not have a rune. In fact, if I just go look at my footage, did I have a rune? I did not. GG. Wish I had a rune. Definitely makes a big difference here. And if we get a look at Goodfather's stats here, his archer stats are pretty wicked as well. 213 archer attack, 189 defense, and 122.5 health. I think he might have also had a king title. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that was the case, which is, 5% of each stat type. Makes a big difference. So if I were doing this all over again, I think the biggest thing we needed to do was to make sure that all of the R4s or multiple R4s were online, because we had people that were in voice. We just didn't have enough R4s nominated. And I just didn't realize how big of a deal that was going to be until I ended up unintentionally being left as the only R4 that could make the swap. And when you're also the captain you're also hard filling, that's not something that's going to work. But this was fun, man. I'm having a lot of fun this KVK. It's not over yet. I think we're going to have a really good Kingsland fight, which I am going to be live streaming tomorrow. If I just get a look at what's happening on the map, I might actually need to go participate in some fighting here. Looks like we're doing a fort build, at least our allies are, breaking into one of the sort of zone 6s that the enemy has here. And Kingsland is going to happen. I mean, there will be a Kingsland fight. And let me tell you, I mean, 556, they have built the forts to make sure that we don't get through. So we've made it past 1 fort wall. We've made it past 2 fort walls. We've made it past 3 fort walls where, you know, forts destroyed and they back fort, etc. And so now they've got yet another one to kind of protect their entrance into Kingsland here. And I'm happy about that, man. We got a Kingsland fight coming up. Hell yeah, man. This is going to be fun. Check out the link in the description if you'd like to check out the sponsor of today's video, War and Order. And until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom. Card will be up in the top if you also want to see some live streams where I've been fighting in this KVK.